What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome back into the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. I am your virtual bartender, Mr. Nick Teodoro. Joining me, as always, is my lovely tag team partner in life, my wife, Miss Nicole. Cheers, Nicole.
Cheers, cheers.
If you're new here, please subscribe. We love to have new regulars come in and join the conversation. Also, be sure to like the video. Nicole, what are you thinking? What are you drinking tonight?
Well, it's been a week, my kids, 2 weeks that we've been away. But of course, as always, I am drinking my Tito's, my orange juice, and my cran mango juice. What about you, Mr. Nick?
Mr. Nick is having his red wine tonight, as usual. Last time we did this, I had to do some ginger ale because we're traveling, so back to on the red wine kick. But as always, as you join us, feel free to kick back, have your own cocktail of your choosing. Doesn't have to be alcoholic. Just join us and talk wrestling. We have a lot to discuss. It's been about 10 days since we've come in, and there's been a lot going on. Now, normally this show, the last couple of weeks, WrestleMania season, usually geared towards WWE, and we're going to talk about WWE as usual. But this week, the last couple of weeks since we've been away, we kind of took a fire hose to the face, so to speak, of water of wrestling and just tried to condense down what we've seen in the last 2 weeks, what we missed. We missed a lot. So getting right to it, the big story of the week, of the last couple of weeks, it's been actually really the last couple of months. Sting is retiring. Sting. Roxanne!
No,
Wrong Sting.
Wrong Sting.
You don't have to put on the red light. But Sting had his last match at AEW Revolution. It was a tag team match where him and Darby Allin were defending the tag team titles against arguably one of the best tag teams in the world, the Young Bucks.
Nicholas and Matthew Jackson, their proper names, sir.
Whatever you want to call them. So great match. A lot of high spots from both Darby Allin and Sting. Sting ended up going through a pane of glass at the end, which is, again, always topic with AEW, but we're not going to get into that now.
Crimey River.
Sting ends up on top, retiring his last match. He's going to end up vacating the AEW World Tag Team titles with Darby Allin. He ends up on top. A nice, friendly send-off, loving send-off for one of the all-time greats in Sting. So I throw this question out to you, Nicole, to our audience. Sting's been around for 30-plus years. What are we at now? I feel like 80, 90. So math is hard, but 30-plus years of Sting memories in 3 different promotions, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe 4. Actually, probably 4 if you count his Ultimate Warrior tag team. I think that was NWA, AWA, whatever. But regardless, What is your favorite Sting memory? Do you have one?
Well, I thought it was really sweet, kind of going back to the match. Like, he did come out with his 2 sons, Garrett and Steven, that dressed up as, like, Surfer Sting and, like, Wolfpack Sting, which I thought was great. Like, them getting into the ring. Like, obviously, it wasn't going to be, like this belter of a match. Like, there was the little comedy spots. There was the tornado tag to protect him, and maybe he didn't really need protecting. Darby did, because that was, that ladder off the thing, and oh god.
Which apparently some shards of glass went in the audience, and there's a whole big thing, but
apparently they also said that, like, watch you're in the splash zone sort of thing. But if you're in a Darby Allin match, you're going to expect something's going to happen.
That doesn't happen with Gallagher, okay? Everyone knows.
Watermelon.
Yeah, everyone. Come on. Sting was around when Gallagher was big. I'm throwing the Gallagher reference in there.
Your references today. But apparently he wanted to go out on his back, and it took, like, the Bucks and Tony Khan basically be like, no, like, we want you to go out on top. Like, you deserve to be standing tall to vacate the belts. He's undefeated in the AEW. He did. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but he had, like, the speech at the end that unfortunately got cut off for the live feed. But he just seemed super grateful, and I'm kind of sad that, like, the beginning of it, they had him sitting in the theater, and they didn't have any WCW footage. Basically, apparently AEW didn't ask WWE for it. I guess they assumed it was going to be a no.
Oh yeah, I heard that was kind of a little bit of a controversy because when WWE needed Film from AEW, they didn't matter. They for I forget who it was.
Cody.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cody. Yeah. Cody's documentary. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't seem to care. So,
But I guess to go back to your original question, like, what's your Sting moment? And I was talking to you. I have to admit that, like, growing up in the Attitude Era and Monday Night Wars, like, I was a WWE kid. Like, you know, DX is my jams. And basically getting the network and really getting back into wrestling and then kind of rewatching all the old Sting stuff, I think it was just such a crazy transition from him to go from the Surfer Sting in the bright colors to then him changing his character so differently. And I think him and Undertaker, like, just these two icons that are like changed with the times, like they're kind of didn't get stale, and it was like, all right, well, this Surfer thing's not gonna work. Like, obviously the Crow movie and all that stuff, that he became this guy in the rafters and he was like the protector and the savior of WCW. And I think, and then him going on to TNA and being that crazy Joker character that he was, and then he was in the Main Event Mafia, and so many. I just think it's such a testament to him that of all the characters that he's done and his staying power.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think he's definitely an icon. I don't think I have one memory that jumps out to me per se, because I didn't, like, he wasn't my guy growing up, but I think looking back now, I think he's obviously a legend. Obviously he's an icon, and I'm glad he's going out on his terms and he's not being like a Ric Flair about all this.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny, the Crow character, I read this in a shoot interview somewhere, that actually it was pitched to him, it was kind of a dual idea, which, again, just one of the legends, another Hall of Famer, Scott Hall basically was like, did you ever see the Crow movie? And he's like, man, this movie was really awesome with Brandon Lee, yeah.
Brandon Lee,
yeah, and he's like, you know, try this out, or you know, look into that character, and that's how, like, that evolved. I think also was it DDP? Someone else's character got really kind of blown up by Scott Hall. I'm trying to think who it was, or maybe it was DDP who said, no, it was reversed. Sorry, I'm thinking the wrong thing. DDP suggested the toothpick idea to Scott Hall, or something along those lines. Sorry, I digress. But yeah, no, for me, going back to Sting's memory, yeah, again, not one single, just him coming down from the rafters, and eventually, you know, not everyone thought he was going to be with the NWO. And it's actually two memories, right? Like him just kind of coming down, always clearing house. It was almost, honestly, it was kind of the precursor, I felt like, to Stone Cold. And when he would do all that stuff with the corporation, stun everybody, right? Like he was just like the superhero character that came out. So, you know, that really was kind of one of the moments, just him always being there. And then even the beginning of that, because he was supposed to, you know, as Eric Bischoff says, he was supposed to be the third member to the NWO originally.
Do it.
And yeah, and then him, which, I mean, again, in hindsight, was a phenomenal decision, right? But he came out in that War Games match, right? And basically just, again, it was a precursor, like, I don't need help. He put everyone in the NWO down and then just kind of left.
The lone wolf kind of persona.
Yeah. So that was awesome. Lisa chimed in. She said her favorite Starrcade 99. Yeah, can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Sting's got a lot of memories. So along that same subject, I posed this question because now Sting's retired. Ric Flair is retired, seemingly.
He in the match, he threw himself over Sting and got super kicked. God, leave that old man alone.
He just wants to like heel over in the ring. But I digress. Regardless, I pose this question to you all. So Sting, I feel like, is undoubtedly, when I think WCW, I think Sting. When you talk about a Mount Rushmore of sorts, who is your Mount Rushmore for WCW? Who are the four pillars? You know, we talk about, you know, AEW talks about their four pillars, and we could get into at some point in time WWE's pillars, but who, when you think of WCW, were the four main attractions? Now, I think you can't not put Sting on here. I don't know how you don't. But the other one I'm thinking of is Ric Flair. But who are the other two that everyone feels is synonymous? Like, do you feel synonymous with WCW? Is it like Dusty Rhodes?
So the early WCW would be Dusty. Like, obviously, like Starrcade, Dusty's baby. Like War Games, you know, Dusty's baby. Slamboree, like all the pay-per-views that carried them for so long are Dusty's brainchild.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the mind, creative mind, it was Dusty. I'm trying to think of like really like the one name that I was saying. Yeah, Goldberg. Lisa, you just beat me to it. but I know Lisa's in the car with her husband listening in, John. Yeah, Goldberg. Goldberg's got to be, honestly, in terms of he probably is, because you could argue he's the most internally built WCW wrestler
one
of
of
all
their
time.
only homegrown kind of guys. I think maybe him and Booker.
Yeah, Booker T. Booker T's a good one too. Booker T's a really good one. But again, like when I think of, I mean, I would argue. Would you argue Lex Luger was more of a found? Lex Luger was atop the main event scene for also Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan could be on both Mount Rushmores. When he left, he made WWE into the early 90s. Then he left for WCW, and then NWO, it transformed everything. So you could argue Hulk Hogan should be on there, too. Lisa says Eric Bischoff. Nah, I can't see him as a... I mean, as a wrestler, no. I I mean, he's obviously not a... He did 2 matches.
Well, you didn't say WCW wrestler. You
all right, well, all right, sorry. To clarify, wrestlers here. I'm talking about in-ring, you think... WCW, if I were to watch WCW, more likely the 90s, right? Or who do you think is their main guy? Like Sting's probably the guy, but the 4 pillars, right? I mean, who else was homegrown in WCW? The main.
We do have a comment. We got a new listener saying Norman Smiley, which again, he was huge and like, I don't say huge, but definitely one of the
Norman Smiley.
Yeah, but he was around. Also, like, why do you think he trains all the kids at NXT? I mean, he was a big deal back in the early 90s.
He was never a main eventer though.
His nickname is.
I don't know. That's a tough one. Does that get to be? He's like,
Mount Rushmore, I'm not sure, but they definitely, foundational for sure.
I feel like there's someone in the mid card that I'm completely whiffing on.
Buff Bagwell.
Buff.
He's the next Dark Side of the Ring topic, so I'm excited to watch that next week. But I don't know, like a mid card, like a DDP. But if you're gonna put Hogan
DDP
in there,
maybe.
do you put the Outsiders in there too?
I think there was more of a faction than it. But whoever Roxanne that put in Norman Smiley, I get to use these. I put these graphics together for ridiculous comments. So let's see if this works. Do I get to use? Wait, wrong one. Sorry, wrong one. I'm still getting used to all this stuff. That was a logo. Let's see if this works. For all our ridiculous comments. Bailey will be judging you. Oh, you can't see it.
Oh.
My graphics aren't as good as I thought they were. Oh, well.
Anyway,
there's next time.
As if our cat Bailey is
judging you.
If you look at her face, we have a great photo of her that she was staring at me at the dinner table, just judging the shit out of me.
So I'll have to get it uploaded or put it into the sheet.
But I don't know who like Billy Kidman. If you're just pulling
Mysterio. Actually, now that you mention it, Mysterio is probably the one that I would put in there.
Halloween Havoc.
Rey Mysterio. That's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, before he took his mask off and got weird.
The cruiserweight. Think about it. The cruiserweight division was
and Eddie Malenko.
Yeah, I mean,
redacted Benoit.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to. I don't think he was a pillar for WCW though. Although he did become a member of the Horsemen later. Yeah, I don't know. I digress. But let us know. I want to hear your thoughts. Let's see if there's any more comments in here. Chris Jericho, Lisa said that's a good one, but
yeah.
I mean, I feel like he was a great mid carder, but then he like a whole other level in WWE when he came over. But good point. Moving on. So
such a segue.
Oh yeah, no, it was brilliant. Brilliant segue on my behalf. So again, a lot of news, a lot to get to. So we can get back to this topic a little later on when we take our calls here. But the other big news is the last week really in home. We'll talk about everyone in a little bit greater detail. Now we're headed on the road to WrestleMania. We're announcing not we, but WWE is announcing all of the Hall of Fame inductees. The major name, the first name inducted this year is the legendary Paul Heyman. So I ask you, Nicole, and our audience here, is Paul Heyman the greatest manager of all time? He's got a lot to his name. Before we get started, a lot to his name.
It's great for me to argue with him.
Without even Nicole, you're getting timed out there a second. Without, yeah, they didn't like the computer didn't like the reaction on that.
You timed out, sir. My face stayed.
He has a lot of names that he's managed. I didn't even realize, because again, we're talking like back to the early 90s, late 80s. Well, that's another one I didn't realize. But I'm talking about the Dangerous Alliance and all the big names that even before they were big names in that. I mean, some of them were big names already. Rick Rude was already a name, right? He was already a main event name. He was managing Rick Rude. Stunning Steve Austin, right? You have Steve Austin in that group. I'm always confused. Bobby Eaton, Adam, because Adam Eaton's a baseball player. Bobby Eaton. He had a lot of names. He had a lot of names in that stable, and then he came over to WWE, and obviously we know
we're skipping ECW.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, obviously everyone knows. Like again, I'm talking about just as manager, just as a manager, not even mentioning his contributions to the business with ECW, right? Like, but just as a manager, the names he's managed. Then you go into obviously redacted, the big UFC fighter who shall not be named, Brock Lesnar, right? He managed Lesnar. Now Roman Reigns. How long has he been with Roman now? 3-4 years.
4 going no. What was this? Was it summer of 2020 or 2021 when it was Bray and whoever, and he came and interrupted that match? Yeah,
and he also had he's had a period where like he thought he was gonna leave Roman because Roman was gonna leave him. I remember that for a little bit, but yeah, he's been with Roman forever now. And then even in the middle, like they put him with like people, and I felt so bad because I thought he was gonna take off like Curtis Axel or Michael.
He was with Ryback for a hot second.
Yeah.
When he proposed to Ryback, hysterical.
Cesaro was a good one.
I thought been bigger too. Yeah. I love Cesaro so much. Claudio doing better in AEW, but so many people.
So, for me, is he your greatest manager of all time?
I feel like it's 1A, 1B because my heart, I love Bobby the Brain, and his family. And for me, I think it again maybe different eras like 1A, 1B. I think it also took me a long time to appreciate Heyman because I'm so not a name redacted Brock person. Like, not. Especially when he was gone for forever, like was not a Brock fan.
Right.
So I think it took me a long time to appreciate Heyman and for a lot of things. So I think he's great. I think he brings a lot, and we'll get to there, but I think he's gonna do phenomenal with Braun Breaker. I think that's gonna be a thing. And he did an interview with somebody once it got announced that he was being inducted, and he said like it feels weird to him because he's like, there's more I want to do. He's like, I'm not done. Like, this feels like a Hall of Fame thing should be when your career's over. And he's like, there's so much more I want to do. Like, he's like, I'm not done. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do for the next generation. Or, you know.
It'd be nice to put him with Braun Breaker.
Mind and such a great mouthpiece. And, like, some of his, like, they were talking about, I forget, it was a go-home show to Survivor Series 2000 something, and he just did that pipe bomb promo on Vince, and he just like eviscerated him. Like he's just so goddamn good on the mic.
Yeah, so I'm gonna read off a couple names.
He brings like I would hope down the line for Braun Breaker. He brings and we were hoping for Axel and Cesaro and Ryback that he brings so much gravitas to these people, and I think he did wonders for Roman. I think Roman's heel turn and him having Heyman, that first initial when you saw them two together, you're like, wow, like what? Like he brings so much to his clients. Whether it's clout,
it's respect, clout, whatever you want to call it. He brings it. So just a couple of things. I didn't realize he brought. Because, again, I watched ECW, but this is maybe the early days. He actually brought the Dangerous Alliance to ECW. So some of the other names that he also managed at ECW include Shane Douglas, Sabu, and Taz. So, I guess Don Morocco was considered in that too as well. So just reading off the list of names.
So many people.
Okay, so he was manager, right? Arn Anderson, Bobby Eaton, Larry Zbyszko. 2 of the 3 are Hall of Fame. I don't know if Bobby Eaton is. I feel like he is somewhere. Medusa was part of that group in WCW. Michael P.S. Hayes was also a manager in the group. Rick Rude, Steve Austin. You got Don Morocco, the Dark Patriot. Eddie Gilbert, not familiar. Jimmy Snuka in ECW. Shane Douglas. Sherry Martello was part of that group. Sabu and Taz. And Jackson's getting a little rambunctious when you talk about Paul Heyman. He gets really excited.
He's a Paul Heyman dog.
Yeah.
Oh, that should be something. You're a Paul Heyman dog.
We're going to get that t-shirt made, copyrighted. I don't want anyone stealing that idea. But yeah, a
lot of people. He touched a lot of careers for sure.
So again, is he the greatest all time? You could put him up there. I think he's definitely top 2 or top 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the other names I've been getting from a lot of people are obviously Bobby the Brain Heenan. But with the Heenan fan, I could put them up against each other, and that'd be interesting to see the Heenan family versus
Andre the Giant will swat them all.
Seriously, yeah, that's a fair point. And was Flair part of the Heenan family, or he just managed Heenan? Because I don't know if he was ever.
I would assume
like the extended Heenan family.
Yeah, because when he did that promo, it was him and Mr. Perfect.
Yeah,
him.
Exactly, yeah.
But at that point, he was that manager, commentator, not fair to Flair.
Yeah. So again, we'll do that. Actually, we should do that at some point in time, maybe later in the show. We'll put them up. I'll pull them up on the list here, and we'll compare factions and who's managed more. So,
Faction warfare.
So the last question on this topic is, who do you want? Right, we're in Philadelphia. This is the perfect person to be inducted in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So my question is, who inducts Paul Heyman into the WWE Hall of Fame? Now, I have my theory, and there's a couple of reasons. They're already in the Hall of Fame. I think we all can agree. Maybe we don't. Maybe we disagree. I think it should be an ECW person, an ECW original that hopefully had some sort of success in WWE. I've been hearing a couple different names. Like I've heard Rob Van Dam before.
I don't think I'd want to hear him give a long speech.
Yeah, well, maybe it doesn't have to be. Maybe it's just a combination. But I'm thinking, like I'm thinking like the big names of ECW, right? Like when we talk, kind of segueing back to our original topic about like pillars, right? I'm thinking about the Mount Rushmore of ECW being RVD, Sabu, and to me, the people that would be perfect, or persons, would be the Dudley Boys. They were just indicted. We were talking about Vince McMahon so before stuff. Inducted. Excuse me. We're a little.
Lord.
I haven't even.
Keep drinking,
that
man.
much.
Keep drinking.
Just inducted, into the Hall of Fame a couple years ago. And what's interesting is if you look now, there's been a lot of promotion for WrestleMania on Instagram, Twitter, right? All social media. And The Rock's recent Crybaby Cody 20-minute promo that was actually referenced on Raw by Seth Rollins, where he called him Diarrhea Dwayne, which, again, Seth, please don't get into these catchphrases. But regardless, in that promo, in that Instagram or social media promo that The Rock made about Seth Rollins, he actually cites one of the Cody Crybabies, as he calls them, as, and I always confuse him, it's Dom, and Dave LaGreca is his brother. So Dave is on the Busted Open podcast, which his co-host is Bubba Dudley. So I think
Bully Ray.
Yeah, Bully Ray, Bubba Ray Dudley, whatever you want to call him, Calfzilla, as he was called in Impact for that short period of time. But that's what I'm thinking. They already kind of teased a little bit using Dave LaGreca for some of their videos. So if they didn't have some sort of relationship, I think it would be kind of a moot point. So that's my theory. I don't know. Nicole, what do you think?
Oh, I have a different one. Which I obviously omitted from when we were talking about Paul Heyman, guys. Motherfucking CM Punk. You want to get him at WrestleMania at some point. Dude can talk. He can't talk about Brock Lesnar. I know they did the teasing with the Busted Open, but like, aren't they Impact people? Like, isn't Devon something with them? Like, I don't know if that can do a thing. But CM Punk makes the most, like, to me, makes the most sense. He can actually, like, put over Paul.
He could.
Have a good, because you say RVD or Sabu, like, no, I don't want to hear them talk, to be honest. And, like, some of the best things, like, I think when DDP inducted Jake, like, did such a great speech to, like, put over, like, how much he means to the business. And I think someone like Punk, who obviously is can't perform at Mania, but I think he should be doing something. Like, he can still talk. Like, he said at the press conference, he's like, my arm don't work, my mouth still works. I think that'd be,
I could see it.
Because honestly, there's no Punk without Heyman. Like, Heyman went to bat for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a logical thing but I still think he'll be on the pre-show. They'll probably put him on the WrestleMania pre-show. I don't know that they need.
Well, he can do both because they're different. Like, the Hall of Fame now is after SmackDown in the ring, which I don't really. I like when it was like a big stage, not like in the ring, but like he can do that and do the pre-show the next day. I just think I really do love the Hall of Fame, and I like when there's a good speech before the person comes out and does an even better speech. And not saying that the Dudleys wouldn't. Like, if it's not Punk, then I think the Dudleys would be the next best thing. But
I mean,
speech-wise, I rather hear Punk talk.
I get it. Yeah, he's going to be a much better talker than both of those. But again, to my defense, Bubba Dudley does a podcast. He could talk. He's always been a good talker. So
I'm not saying Bubba's bad. I'm saying Punk's better.
Lisa says, sorry, Taz, not going to happen.
No,
I wish I could use the Bailey graphic right now.
Crazy, because I don't know if you watched Monday Night Raw, when Cole announced that Heyman was going into the Hall of Fame, he name dropped, which is so crazy. We talk about Raw, all the drops that they talked about Sting's last match. And then Pat was like, "Oh, the match is incredible," and it was like Cole immediately cut him off. Like, they could say he retired, but like, let's not put over the match. But he said that like Heyman sat him and Taz down and like taught them how to commentate, really. And I think Taz would be great, but he's main color on Dynamite. They're not gonna, if they're not using Sting footage, they're not gonna like that would be the exchange.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you Taz for some Sting footage.
Yeah.
And clearly that didn't happen. But at least I definitely think it's a great shout out. This weird,
relationship.
Tribalism. I don't think it's going to happen. But I think a WWE guy, I agree with you. It should be like again, you're not going to have Sandman come talk. It's not going to be Dreamer. Not going to be Raven.
I know who it is. The perfect person.
Oh, God.
The Blue Meanie.
Oh, Lord.
The Blue Meanie just came out with an interview. I don't know who it was with, so I would cite it if I knew who it was. And basically said that during the time in ECW, he pitched a character to Paul Heyman because Sting, he was doing parodies, the BWO and everything. So they wanted to do instead of Sting, Stank.
Oh, God. Yeah, no one wants to hear the Blue Meanie talk there. But no, I think a Paul Heyman guy, a WWE guy, is weird to say now still, but Punk.
Fair. So, moving on, the other big news of the last week for us in the wrestling world is AEW. Now, we don't usually talk as much about AEW, and we want to get more into it because Nicole and I are very fond of AEW. We got engaged on the Chris Jericho cruise, so we love AEW. We support AEW. Just the last couple of weeks.
Support wrestling. I love WWE. I love AEW. I try not to be tribalism. Like, we watch all of it. I watch so much wrestling. Like, just support good wrestling. Like, on this channel, I really want us to not to be like, WWE's better, AEW's better. Just like lately, obviously, from Rumble to Mania, it's been WWE heavy, but I think we do want to talk more about AEW. And that's
the idea. Every week we're here Fridays at 6. You can call in and comment about anything going on in the wrestling world, even your memories. That's the fun of it. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and let us know. We want to hear from you all. But again, the big news of the week, or the other big news of the week was, now it's fun for me because next week is NFL free agency. So it always becomes a very big, crazy time. And as a Jet fan, this becomes our Super Bowl because we never do shit during the season.
You don't go to the Super Bowl.
So we get really excited about who we're going to sign that's career is going to end in the next 3 years and that we're going to complain about. So in the wrestling world, the last couple of years, now that AEW is established, right, and even Impact has been established for the last 10 years as a solid,
blowing back up,
tertiary competitor. Now we're starting to see people flop from company to company. They used to call, they're called the Forbidden Door, but now people are signing, and people that we weren't expecting to even come over to the United States and see that have been, staples in Japan and Europe for years, now are coming over and signing with WWE, AEW. So the last couple of months, there's been a bidding war for two of what I would consider the top free agents in all of professional wrestling. Two of the top 10, at least, arguably two of the top 5 professional wrestlers in all.
Higher than that, but
in all the world. I mean, one of them signed recently, but made his debut. The other just made his debut this past week and signed probably about a week ago. So AEW made 2 monster signs, and I'm going to mispronounce it. Kazuchika Okada, I think I pronounced that correctly, and my personal favorite, who I believe is the best actual wrestler in the world, Will Ospreay. 2 huge, phenomenal signs. Ospreay made his debut at AEW Revolution against Konosuke Takeshita. Did I pronounce that?
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, look at me.
Yeah.
I've heard it enough times now that I've got it right.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of that band, Depeche Mode. Takeshita. Mode.
Whatever
anyway,
gets you there, babe.
Yeah, whatever. Just monograms to remember. Regardless, he made his debut, had a phenomenal match at Revolution, and followed it up on Wednesday night.
It's not necessarily his debut because he has wrestled for them before, but it's his first signed.
Correct.
Under AEW.
Under the exclusive AEW banner. So Will Ospreay is now officially All Elite.
Yeah.
We followed that up. Well, that was earlier in the night. It was actually at the end of the night, his official debut. But earlier in the night, we saw the actual debut of Kazuchika Okada, who
officially All Elite.
Officially under All Elite again. Both of these. So just I should preface. Both of these wrestlers have wrestled in AEW as part of the Forbidden Door agreement with New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is not their first time wrestling, but now they are exclusively signed.
Yes, there you go, babe.
Again, just to clarify. However, now we will see them on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Thank you for fact checking me.
Anytime.
Her journalism major and my journalism background combining. We'll get it right at some point in time. Regardless, they both have debuted. So I posed this question now 2 years ago? I want to say 2 years ago. AEW was gaining its momentum and notoriety. And 2 years ago, they signed Bryan Danielson and followed it up with CM Punk. So what I want to know, and we're actually not what I want to know, is what I feel, and I want to know everyone else's opinion on this, is these are the 2 in their prime top free agents, top wrestlers in the world. So you're talking about NFL equivalent of signing a franchise player, a Patrick Mahomes, a Justin Jefferson, right? Those types of players. I would argue this signing is bigger than Daniel Bryan and CM Punk because of the longevity that these 2 can give to this company and what their style can do for AEW. So my question to everyone here is, do you agree with that? Is this a bigger signing for AEW than Danielson and Punk? Nikki?
I'm going to say yes. As much as I do love Bryan Danielson, I do love Punk. They are healthier, younger, put on belters. No, Bryan Danielson, I don't know why that's in my head right now. Obviously, him and Ospreay, they teased that at the end. Again, Will Ospreay had a great match with Takeshita. Also had a banger of a match with Kyle Fletcher to main event this past week's Dynamite. I don't know. I'm as much as I was excited for Daniel Punk, like I'm excited about this. I love seeing a heel Okada. I think is very interesting. I think that's going to be super fun. Him with the Bucks, I think it's gonna be interesting because whenever Kenny's healthy, that's gonna be an amazing kind of feud. I love seeing a heel Okada, and they have Ospreay as like a babyface, so I feel like it's like kind of like a switcheroo here. And I'm very interested to see how that plays out because I feel like obviously Brian plays a little more heely lately, so like I think probably at Dynasty and the end of April we'll see Ospreay, Brian. But I think I'm more excited for the matchups with Okada and Ospreay. It's definitely more. Well, I don't say more Ospreay, but both of them. But like, I'm more excited to see them, like who they would match up with. Like, I want to see like Will Ospreay like Malachi Black. Like that'd be a crazy match. Like I'm more excited, or like Pac's coming back. Like super excited about that. He had the crazy vignette during the pre-show. Like I don't know. I think I'm more excited about these matchups.
Dante Martin, him and Dante Martin would have an.
I know he's another one that like is next generation. He's gonna be, I think, in a couple years, he's gonna be a fucking star. I don't know. I think I'm more excited about these two. As much as I love Brian Punk, like I'm more excited about these people. I think Ospreay's gonna go. He's gonna have that belt. Oh my god, him and Swerve. Whose house? Like that's gonna be so exciting. That's gonna be so fun.
Well, I mean, again, watching the thing about Ospreay is I've said this for years because I first got turned on to him in probably like 6 years ago, maybe more than that. It was, and I beg any of our listeners that are listening, go look up the Will Ospreay Ricochet match.
Oh, and they just flip around.
Yeah, and it was
Jim Cornette's brain.
Yeah, it's so literally unbelievable how in tune they were, and it was match of the year that year, and that's literally what got them both over and signed. And then I was thinking to myself, all right, well, Ricochet got signed, so it's only a matter of time. And Ospreay's just been around going to New Japan. And like after that match, when you get voted upon, which again is what it is, but like when you get voted upon as one of the best matches in of the year, usually that you parlay that into a big contract somewhere. And the fact that he kind of stayed in New Japan, and not only that, like it was such a great match, but he was always kind of, and I'm not as familiar with New Japan, but it feels like they have a lot, like the junior US belt, like a lot of different belts. He was never competing for like the world title until very, very late in his career. And I felt like he was the guy who was a main event talent.
Late in his career.
Well, no, late in his and New Japan career, like before he left. So to me, it was a lot of like, he should have been a main eventer 3-4 years ago and signed to a company where he could have been, at the top of the card all the time. And now seeing him on a weekly basis for AEW is really exciting. I hope Tony Khan and whoever he has booking with him do not ruin this opportunity. You have such a stacked roster of talent, and especially when you talk about guys like Adam Cole when they get healthy. I don't think he's injured, but MJF coming back is one of the hottest wrestlers in the world as well. You have such a stacked roster.
Kyle O'Reilly came back, and I love Kyle O'Reilly maybe more than I should. I have this weird love for Kyle O'Reilly. He's back, and I want to see him wrestle everybody.
Yeah, like you have such an opportunity here to.
They have a great roster, and I just hope AEW gets their background-ish together so they can, I'm sad that we didn't get to watch it live because like everyone's saying that it was like a banger of a pay-per-view. And I wish AEW can get on Max or some pay-per-view or some streaming service so I can rewatch it later.
I know. Please sign a deal. But
I definitely, if you haven't seen it, go watch this past week's AEW Dynamite, Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher, because they're like best friends. They were in a stable in the UK and New Japan, and you just like I feel like it's kind of like what like Triple H, Shawn Michaels. It's like when you're fighting your best friend, you hit just a little harder, and like that match is so goddamn good. I think I yelled a couple times. I was like, ah! So yeah, do yourself a favor, go watch that match,
and also watch the Ricochet Ospreay match because that was them 6 years ago doing crazy stuff. Yeah, handsprings and things.
Anything that hurts.
Handsprings and things. I like that.
Anything that hurts Jim Cornette's brain, I'm all for.
Well, someone posted on Twitter like Jim Cornette's upset because if you look, there's the video of him when he blew out his knee on the scaffold match, and they're like, that's why he's so upset about spots because he was like, and it literally, if you look at it, you find it literally. I mean, I'm not one to argue because I'm afraid of heights, but like if you look at it, it looks like he's like 5 feet off the ground. It literally looks like his feet are 5 feet off the ground. And like, if you have any athletic bone in your body, you can at least land respectively. And he just like collapses like terribly. But I digress.
He's also bad human being, so whatever.
No, you hate him.
But I digress.
So, she just makes fun of me all day. This is what I have to deal with every day, all day. So again, we touched on Ospreay and Okada. Now, earlier in the show, we mentioned the big name so far in the WWE Hall of Fame has been Paul Heyman. Actually, as far as this week, there have been technically 3 more announcements of who's inducted. So just yesterday, and I literally just read this. If it weren't for the reels on my phone, I didn't even notice it. Triple H made an announcement. Actually, it was on Instagram or Facebook, where the U.S. Express, Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda, are now going to be inducted also into the Hall of Fame, along with, please help me, with Nakamura, I always get dyslexic.
It's Bull Nakano. Not Will Ospreay. There she is. Bull Nakano.
I always, with Nakamura, I get all
probably
dyslexic.
our female inductee of this year, and I think a little overdue. Very big in the 90s. Her and Alundra Blaze had a great rivalry, great matches. Again, women's matches were so few and far between, and her and Alundra actually wrestled, which is so great. So it's so, and like a lot of, was it Mania? No, Mania last year, the year before, but like Beth Phoenix came out with like the same kind of like lightning kind of paint that Bull Nakano, and I feel like she has has inspired a lot of like the bigger, wrestling female wrestlers, and I'm excited. She did a lot in All Japan. She did a lot when her and Alundra jumped over to WCW. They carried out their rivalry there. And I'm excited. I think it's overdue, and I think some of the women's inductees lately maybe necessarily didn't deserve it for their wrestling prowess. So I'm excited to see like a woman getting inducted because she was a badass bitch in the ring.
Great point. So when she got inducted, I had to look more into, because again, it was early stages of our lives, I guess. So I wanted to just look back on what I remember besides the Alundra Blaze feud, and that was really what. And when I think about it, in WWE, WF at the time, that is what really brought attention to women's wrestling. It wasn't, like you had right around the time Miss Elizabeth, it was kind of like the valet manager type gimmick, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. That really wasn't viewed as like, women can do things in the ring, and her and Alundra Blaze really brought that. And what I thought was really neat is, in a time where you're just getting, started, right? Like women's wrestling started or out there and exposure. She was doing moves. She was doing that guillotine leg drop from the top rope. Like those types of things nowadays, we even think about, like, we don't see as much of. And she brought it back then when it was just in its infancy in the United States. I think
they were ahead of their time. It's like people that were probably in the wrong era. Like, she'd be killing it now. She'd be beating up fucking Nia Jax.
Well, there's videos, because I was looking at it, I was like trying to like best moves. There's videos of her in like late 80s, 90s in Japan jumping off the top of a cage. And when you think about that now, we're like, Hell in a Cell, like women's Hell in a Cell. We were talking about like women's Elimination Chamber just last month, and like there's only been a handful of those. And it's just crazy to me that she was doing this in the early 90s, and you wouldn't even have a clue if it weren't for that. So, yeah, definitely deservedly so. A pioneer for women's wrestling in the United States and WWE, WF. So my question is obviously very deserving. So now we're getting to a point where we've seen the last couple of years, basically since, I think I look back, basically since late 90s was when WWE started inducting more female talent to the Hall of Fame. So my question is, and this is more female specific than male specific, because I think it's a little bit tougher a question in some ways. Just because there's been less of it in WWE, not volume-wise. Who would you like to see as the next female entrant into the WWE Hall of Fame? Now, I have my theories, and there's 2 names that I thought of that when I looked down the list year over year
Mm.
of who's been in there and who hasn't been cited. And one is strictly on, championship reigns and clout. The other one is strictly on, kind of similarly with Bull Nakano, breaking barriers. She's already in, but she deserves her own individual.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say.
China,
Yeah.
100% needs her own. And I know there's probably going to be controversy. I don't know how that all went, but if you induct her in with DX, you got to give her own, especially with, like, Ric Flair's in twice. She is a pioneer, an intercontinental champion. Never happened.
The only female intercontinental champion as of now. I think maybe give it to Rhea, but no, I think I get like the backstage and her and Triple H. Maybe it broke up. Maybe they didn't break up. Maybe he was hooking up with Stephanie. And then she also wanted to fight Stone Cold Steve Austin and make Stone Cold Steve Austin money, and JR told her no. But as a trailblazer, 100% China should be in. I don't. Maybe next year. Maybe because this is the first Mania Hall of Fame that's Triple H. There's no name redacted piece of crap Vince McMahon. This is the Triple H era, so I'm hoping maybe down the line, hopefully maybe next year, maybe the year after, maybe we can get a solo China in. I'm very hopeful. Because it's crazy to me, like, thinking that, like, how is Bull Nakano not in already?
Well, you kind of made me think about this now, but, like, how cool would it be if, obviously not happening this year, but, like, next year, I'm trying to think of, like, where her hometown is, or somewhere around, like, DX. But anyway, if whatever next year, the year after, they induct her, and that's somehow, because it wouldn't happen now, and it gives you enough time to do it, but, like, somehow next year, put Rhea in an Intercontinental title match with if she's still with him, Dom Mysterio. I think that would be, and just, like, that would be kind of a cool way to pay homage to her and do all that. It would be kind of neat. But.
So you're going to take, I know it's so hard because Gunther has the belt. So you're going to give the belt from Gunther to Dom.
Well, no. First off, I don't think Gunther's going to lose it, Dom. But, like, he'll lose it by then. Like, you're talking like a year from now. But that would be kind of a cool way of, like, that especially really with the storyline of the fact that they've been dating, doing all this other stuff. Like,
well, he just got married.
Yeah, I know. But that's not in kayfabe. In kayfabe there.
Yeah, no. But, no, I think it'd be amazing, honestly. I think another, I think obviously Rhea's the one to do it, to have more, again, if it's safe and not weird, like intergender wrestling. Like, I'm weird about it. Like, if it's
right,
like, excuse me, rewatching like the Good Housekeeping match, it's a little hard. I'm sorry, I'm like choking. Stop.
All right, I will talk. I will move as Nicole tries not to die.
Guys,
I can't give you the Heimlich if you're choking.
Okay,
but regardless.
I'm so joked up.
No, well, the other person, the other name, I know she's been so drugged up. She's been recovering from sickness, but she's a champion. She's getting through it. She's working through it like Cody Rhodes on his pec.
I'm sorry.
But the other name that I was thinking about that isn't in the, and I was kind of surprised, and now I think it's 100% going to happen, especially if this person's still here. Mickie James is a 6-time women's champion. Her husband's the GM of SmackDown. How is she not in all? I thought for sure this year would have been the year to do it, especially if Nick Aldis is still around and GM by next year. I would think that would be another name that probably would, make it in and make the cut. Because how do you have a there's people that are like, is Tori Wilson even a champion, a women's champion? Like, again, great manager, like did a lot for business, but like. Her compared to a 6-time women's champion, it to me is. So
the thing is with Mickie, if I can talk, I'll get it together. Sorry for coughing in everyone's ears. So with Mickie being gone, she was in TNA. She came back. She got to her hardcore country thing. You think that would be the year they would induct her, but she's with TNA. But now she's head of women's wrestling or head of whatever for OVW. So, and then honestly, which is shitty, Bull Nakano's your women's inductee. No other woman is getting inducted. They usually do. You have like your tag team person, your women's person, and 3 other people.
Well, honestly,
and they seem to have not been doing the Warrior Award anymore, which like I'm good with. But I don't think there's going to be. I would love to be proven wrong, but I don't think there's going to be another women's inductee this year. I think Mickey's a good shout. Like she 100% definitely deserves to be inducted. But I think with all her other affiliations right now, like I don't. But again, maybe it's different with Triple H involved.
That's what I was going to say. Like he's
involved.
We've seen more women's main events in the last 2-3 years than we've ever seen. Yeah. So I wouldn't be shocked if all of a sudden he throws in another name. I would think at this point though, the thing that you have to look at is like there's always like a stagger with the Hall of Fame. There's always like a staggered, like they usually do, one main eventer, one manager, one mid card person, one tag team. Right? To your point.
I know I talked through it, but I did say that.
I know, and this is why she says I don't listen to her all the time, and now it's on tape, so this is awful. But regardless, that doesn't necessarily. Here's the thing: the only thing I would say is if they're going to do it, it would be Chyna. For this reason, she's a bigger star than Mickie James. You can't put to the average fan, the casual fan. I don't think they would tell the difference. Maybe, because it's a generational thing. You have an older fan that would probably have watched Bull Nakano versus someone closer to our age in the 90s who's seen in 2000 who saw like Mickie James. So I don't know that Mickie James, if you announce her after, usually this is kind of like that period where you have the mid-card people and then you may have one last big name in it. So that's the only reason I would say no, but if it was someone, it would be Chyna.
But my counterpoint is, I don't think the Hall of Fame is for the casual fan.
Then why do they have the celebrity wing?
When was the last time they did a celebrity?
Well, actually, I think I have the list. Drew Carey was 2011. Here's someone. Here we go. I kept this up just in case.
Don't say his name. I'll smack you.
Drew Carey?
No, the other one.
Bob Uecker?
Yes, that's the one. I'm just thinking last in my head was Mr. T when he's like, love your mother on Mother's Day and love her on Thanksgiving and treat her like Mother's Day on Flag Day. When he was just like, really
Flag Day. Make sure you plant her a tree on Arbor Day.
I know, he was just like talking about love. And remember, Kane had to come out and like, all right, guy. That's the last celebrity thing I remember. Mr. T, Killer.
I'm stretching right now. Hold on. I'm back to 2018.
Let us in the comments below. I'm pretty sure.
Snoop Dogg 2016. There we go.
All right. Well, he makes sense. He saved. Shane broke his face and his legs and all his body, and he came in and saved the day.
And Arnold was 2015.
Okay.
That's tough. That's tough to top. Snoop and Arnold.
And Snoop Dogg is your last one. I think that's great. He saved that when Shane McMahon went down doing the.
Steve's chiming in. Steve said last year Andy Kaufman.
Oh, that's right, Steven. You're so right. And because
why didn't you show my list?
That was upsetting because King had the stroke or the heart attack, whatever happened to Jerry Lawler, because he was supposed to induct him and he did the little thing beforehand. Steven, you're so right.
How did he miss? I didn't come on my list.
Oh, your list is shitty.
20.
This is why we have Steven.
Seriously.
No, Steven, you're so right. Yes, because it was sad because Jerry Lawler should have inducted him and he couldn't be there. And then his sons were so sweet and saying that dad, he's like or it was his brothers, maybe not his sons. Or whoever they were. They're saying Andy would have been fucking over the moon for this.
Yeah, I know. And he should have came out and pile drive his sons. That would have been great. Right on the stage.
Yes. But
right on the stage.
I think that again, it's Snoop Dogg and Andy Kaufman.
Oh,
you're done with the celebrity wing.
We got comments coming in.
Oh, who do we
Hey, Easy E, Uncle Eric.
Hey.
Chiming in. What are you drinking? What are you thinking? So we are now at the user portion, not user portion. Our guest. What? Oh, wait. Sorry. Did I miss something? Sorry, I missed something.
There was one thing. So, again, March is Women's History Month. Today is International Women's Day. So give it out to all my other fucking Lisa, I hear you, my female wrestling people.
Yeah, we need more female wrestling fans in this whole
last
shindig.
night I watched another video like crapping on WrestleMania 9 when they're obviously in Caesar's Palace. And the opening match, you have Luna and Vachon debuting with Michaels, and you have Sherry Martel with Tatanka, and then I'm just like watching them, and then they have their brawl backstage and around the ring, and I was like, oh my, how much I like loved Luna Vachon, and my dad loved Sherry Martel so much, so it was just in my brain, like she was just like the best because my dad loved her, and it just made me think it was like again like Bull Nakano, like kind of women like before, because like obviously they both wrestled, they both were fun in the ring, they were both valets and like kind of like slapped around the guys, so I just kind of wanted to bring those up because it just made me like watching them again. I was like, oh yeah, like they would have been so awesome in this era, like Sherry with Becky and like Sherry like fighting out, like Luna
was a good pair with Bam Bam Bigelow.
I loved her with Bam Bam.
You know, and as I think about her, like there was a couple things that I always thought about with Luna was that like, and now looking back on it, again, Paul Ellering was great, but she seemed like the perfect fit if you had a female manager for Legion of Doom Road Warriors. Because like I always thought like when they dressed her up and she came out with all the chains and all that stuff and like tattoo stuff, she reminded me, and I feel like I should look this up because I don't know this for a fact, but like not the Road Warrior. What's the second one? No, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's not the Road Warrior, it's Mad Max. Mad Max, like
oh yeah.
And Mad Max, I was confused. Not the Thunderdome one. So
there I can help you.
Oh gosh. I know Lisa, I know your husband. One of you guys knows exactly what I'm talking about. Someone out there is going to write this in and course correct me. But hold on, now I got to Google it.
Anywho's, I just wanted to give a shout out to them because I feel like wrong era sort of person, and I don't know. Again, like I really like watching Dark Side of the Ring. They did one on Luna, which I also didn't know she was married to Gangrel for like a hot minute. But just kind of like badass bitches for International Women's Day. Here for it, love it, want more of it.
Yeah, actually, I think that, you know what? I think it actually is called the Road Warrior Part 2. Yeah. Thank you, Uncle Eric. You got it right. That's what I thought. I just didn't think it wasn't, I don't know, for some reason it seemed too logical.
So yeah, so I just didn't mean to interrupt you, but also mean to interrupt you because you interrupt me all the time. But Women's History Month, badass bitches. Bitches love wrestling. I'm sorry for cursing so much.
But yeah, again, back to my theory. Road Warrior 2, I always thought of her because of that, and I thought if you ever put her with Legion Doom, it would have been great. She just
looked so, and like watching her Dark Side of the Ring was really sad, and like her son was so sweet on it. And Alundra Blaze was so sweet on it, and how like she wanted to have the belt, and Vince was very much like not going to give her the belt, and Alundra Blaze was like, pin me. She's like, I won't kick out. And she's like, well, I can't do that. Vince, she's like, I won't do that. Like, Vince would get so upset. And Alundra Blaze was like, I would do that for you. So you can hold it just for a couple minutes. And she was just like, she was such a good, she's like, no, I can't. But it's something she wanted so badly. And but like, again, she was just like, she like just looked so awesome. And then seeing her and like Sherry Martel, they just looked so cool.
Yeah. I know.
Again, terrible mania, but they looked hot. So. But that's what we fell asleep to last night because I wanted to rewatch Terrible Mania.
Let's get to a couple comments. Phone lines are open if anyone wants to call in. We do have someone on the line. I think I know who it might be. I think it's someone who changes their name every time. So, but get a quick comment in. So feel free to call in. We'll buy everyone a few extra seconds if they want to call in. Lisa says, 2 great names. Chyna definitely deserves it. And I totally don't think of Mickie James. Yeah. No one thinks of Mickie James because she stalked Trish Stratus for 3 years.
Oh, they did her dirty. I don't know. I think honestly, she probably deserves to be in the TNA Hall of Fame more. Not like deserve more, but like I feel like TNA did her better more than.
Settle down. This is a family show. I'm kidding. I had to throw one of those
today.
in.
We're on one today, people. Lord. But I don't know. I think I don't know. The Piggy James stuff was so like she's the size of my leg, and they were calling her fat, and it makes me very upset. Again, I think we're in a better place now. I think Triple H has a better grasp on women's wrestling.
Oh yeah, he definitely. And I wonder, well, going back to our topic of who could be in the Hall of Fame, I wonder how much influence is that, like, because he was around a very tough woman in China for how long, like, that he knew that they could hang, Like
I think he likes being beat up by women, because he went from China to Stephanie, and I feel like Stephanie can also break his balls. I also really love...
Or she could hire someone to do it.
Stephanie McMahon.
Billionaire.
But again, we were supposed to do something for Valentine's Day to talk about my favorite wrestling couples, because wrestling couples really make my heart happy. And I don't know, do yourselves a favor, go watch Seth and Becky on Hot Ones Challenge. They like dare each other, and they eat hot wings, and they're just so sweet together, and I love them very much. But I digress. I thought we had a call.
Well, we do have a call. We're gonna get to in just 1 second. But again, so feel free to call in. We're here every week, Fridays at 6 p.m. That's the new start time. So we're going to bleed this right in because SmackDown's at 8. It's 7 o'clock right now. So you have enough time to grab yourself a snack and another drink before SmackDown starts. But again, you want to hear the topics? We have a couple topics, but you could call in and talk about anything you want to talk about wrestling related. So let's get to it. We've got someone calling in as Roxanne, but I think I know who it is. Roxanne, I'll start with Roxanne. What are you thinking and what are you drinking?
Roxanne.
Steve!
The red light. Aren't we talking about Sting?
We are.
That sounds very low.
Yeah, you sound like you're a little away from the microphone. You might have to come a little closer so that everyone can hear you. But...
Is that good?
A little bit better, yeah.
Okay. I swear to God, Nick, I've got the video portion on my TV, and it looks like you're half a second away of hitting your head on that shelf.
I could be. I am, but that's probably one of the benefits of being a little shorter, right? So Steve, what are you thinking? What are you drinking? You had a good Drew McIntyre pick, but now we've had 2 weeks in between, so now you got a lot to talk about to catch up on. So what are you thinking?
Well, geez, so much to go over. Should I go over Tony Khan just trying to buy new friends?
Over 30 million.
Perform in front of arenas that are a third full at best.
So that's a funny point. So Steve brings up a point about Okada's contract. So Okada signed basically what was the equivalent of 4.5 for the next 3 years. A 3-year deal that basically equivalates. I can't talk. Equivalent. I can't talk. To $4.5 million per year, which is insane because that's probably more than or on the level of what John Cena was making and some of these top tier guys, like maybe Punk right now. But it is crazy.
Well, they better, as far as whether these signings, were good or not. I mean, on the surface they do, but I mean, if they don't result in larger crowds at the television tapings, at least, because I can only think of maybe 2 shows where they attract a large crowd, and that's Wembley and when they do Tennis Stadium in Queens. I guess Boston for who's debut next week will probably be somewhat full, but I mean, how disappointing must Okada have been to come out and there's only 4,000 fans?
Well, it's a great question because so here's my issue with it. Again, it's all about the build and what you're gonna do for him now post him. Everyone knows he's a great wrestler and now he's coming in, but my concern is, and WWE struggled to do this, and even lately, they started to, but he didn't really get much momentum. Nakamura, the international Japanese stars really struggle sometimes. I don't know why it's the positioning or the booking to get them over, and then they always I just think of, and again, not near on the same level, but there's so many names that came in over the years, and again, he's nowhere near as good, but like Yoshitatsu in WWE, and some of these guys that just they Kenta was in NXT, and again he was supposed to be a really big deal, and even Nakamura was a huge name in
like how
in
do you
Japan.
how do you mess up Nakamura AJ at Mania? And they did.
Yeah,
I think
all
a
they
lot
had
of
to
it
do
is.
was
Oh,
all
go
they
ahead.
had to do was rerun their New Japan match.
Mm.
I mean, that was 40 minutes, but that was gold.
Yeah, but I think the problem is that
a dick kick. Like,
yeah, seriously. Then yeah, it's
like,
lazy
it
booking.
wasn't gonna be what it was in the Tokyo Dome, but it could have been a little better.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard.
I'm hoping to Steven's point that now that it's like, all right, Okada's gonna be there full time, Ospreay's there full time. You're gonna have who next week there full time. That I'm hoping maybe they start selling out. Or also the rumor was they booked such big venues because they thought they'd have Punk, and now they don't have that star. And I'm hoping maybe if they scale back down, like when we saw them at Prudential Center 6 months ago at this point.
Yeah,
And it
probably.
wasn't a bad crowd. Like, it was a pretty good crowd.
It's a pretty good crowd, but again, it's also Prudential Center.
Exactly. So that's should be their target. Like, I'm interested to see next week. Again, who's supposed to be there. But TD Gardens, I've been there. It's a big. And that's where the Celtics play. That's a big.
And that'll probably be
arena.
It'll probably be one of our topics next week. Is as another debut is and Steven's kind of alluding to Mercedes Moné, aka Sasha Banks, is expected to sign it. Well, she probably already signed, but debut next Wednesday on Dynamite, which is from Boston, her hometown. But here's the thing: like, is she in terms of she's a big deal relative, but I don't know that it's going to be a huge pop for her, and she's as big a needle mover as everyone thinks she's going to be, and for two reasons. Well, first off, Tony Khan's terrible at booking women's wrestling. He is awful. He's proven himself to be god awful at that. And I don't know that. I just don't know that even in her prime in WWE, I don't consider her a big needle mover. Like, is she considered part of the Four Horsewomen? Yes. But like, in comparison to everyone else, she's always injured. She puts on good match, but she always gets injured after putting on a good match. So I don't know that she's going to. She gets injured a lot. That she's going to. Well, feel free to chime in, but like, I don't know that she's going to move the needle for the women's division in AEW, and that pop is going to be anything like what we saw. Like if Ospreay hadn't had such a couple of situations where he's been exposed to the audience already, Ospreay would be the big pop. Same thing with Okada. Like, they've done this. AEW's done this with Forbidden Door so many times where it's like, and well, with everyone really, surprise entrance and debuts. But like, now it's at the point where I don't know. I mean, the shock value is not as big as it is because they do it so much, and I don't know that she's as big a needle mover as everyone thinks she's going to be.
She'll sell out. Boston will be at least close to a sellout next week, because that's the hometown crowd.
Yeah.
After that, as it slowly drops off, and she's back to being in front of 3,000, 4,000, and they're booking her against terrible opponents, and the booking is bad anyway. I mean, the argument could be made that she has crossover appeal because people know her. People would know her from The Mandalorian.
Right. Yeah, that's the only thing that I can see. But like, was she? See, I didn't watch The Mandalorian, so I don't know how prominent she was in that role.
She booked The Mandalorian because she was on Hot Ones. It wasn't her WWE stuff. It was her on Hot Ones.
Right.
Yeah, but if you're not, as long as you're not the main, like if you're not the main star, I don't know that there's going to be much carryover. Like WWE, like when Edge did all that stuff with Sci-Fi and whoever else was, like I get that, but
she's gonna have more of a pop than you think.
No, I think she'll have a pop, but I think
you're really doubting it.
Well, you know me and pops. We talked about that with the LA Knight.
Thinking Rhea did not get a pop in Australia.
Just saying, Logan Paul got a better pop than LA Knight. Book it.
That was not the debate.
That was my comment. Is that he
got said Rhea Ripley didn't get.
Oh yeah, sorry. It was Rhea Ripley. Yeah, that's right. Rhea Ripley didn't get as big a reaction as Logan Paul that night. I will stand by that. I'll stand by that statement. Steve, any last Any other comments before we let you go here?
Oh, so many to select from, but I'll go with why are the U.S. Express getting a Hall of Fame induction?
Because
So-
they're related to Bray Wyatt.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, why not induct Bray Wyatt then? I mean, Barry Windham's already in somehow as a member of the Four Horsemen. Did Barry Windham have a good enough career to warrant being a 2-time inductee? Which is
I don't even think of him that much on the Horseman.
I think it's too soon to do Bray, to be perfectly honest. I think because it's obviously less than a year. I think it'd be weird for them to induct him.
Yeah, and his family may feel the same way. I mean, because remember, anybody who gets inducted, they, the wrestlers or their families, if they're deceased, have to sign off on it. I mean, they wanted to induct Bruno for years, and he kept saying no.
Mm-hmm.
Until Triple H smoothed it over, and he said yes.
Well, if you look, so there's a video. So how I found out about it is there's a reel that's on Facebook right now where Triple H, they always do this, like just like the NFL does, like they call up. Sorry, I have to say this. Uncle Eric wants to know if you can please sing another police song. Can Steven sing another police song before he leaves?
A year has passed since I wrote my note.
There we go. Legendary moment.
I saw them twice on the reunion tour. That was awesome.
Yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought with that comment.
The Triple H called.
So they're basically doing similar like the NFL. Like they used to show, the NFL does, like you show up at your door and it's like, congratulations, you made it. Kind of like what was it? What did they do during the Super Bowl? What was it? Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah,
it was basically like that.
Like, here's your big student check.
Oh,
yeah.
And everyone would wait by their door for the Super Bowl for some idiot to come that would never come. Well, yeah, you could be a millionaire today if you're watching the Super Bowl. Yeah, okay.
But I mean, if this is being done for Rotunda's benefit, then just put Rotunda in. Put him in as Erwin R. Shyster.
Yeah, I didn't even. It was so crazy to me. So when they put it, when they announced U.S. Express, I was like, wait, let me see, and then I was like, wait. That's IRS, and I didn't even realize that it was him the whole time. I was like, he had a whole career. Like it was so baffling to me because it was 80s. They were such, but like I knew him growing up as IRS. So like that was like, and Money Inc.
But that's the thing. Do you think they would want to do Money Inc., but they can't do it because DiBiase's going to jail?
So everyone's going to jail apparently.
But hopefully,
it's like the Oprah free jail giveaway now.
But hopefully they add the Midnight Express to the list this year, along with Cornette. They said they won't do it without Cornette being inducted. Cornette apparently doesn't want to do it.
But he doesn't want to do anything.
Cornette in front of that crowd.
Well, didn't he just a couple of years ago, he just inducted someone and we thought he was going to go crazy and it was actually fine. Was it when they did the Midnight Express?
They did that. The Midnight Express aren't in yet. There's a
hold on. I might have
he just inducted maybe the past 5 years. He inducted somebody.
It wasn't.
Thought he was going to go crazy.
Control F. Cornette.
Was it?
Yeah, 2017 Midnight Express, the Gibsons. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Rock and Roll Express. Sorry, Robert Gibson.
Yeah, Gibson
and Ricky Morton.
I confuse all our Expresses and our Midnights and our tag teams.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm curious now. Cornette. So he invited just those. I thought maybe he had somebody else.
I don't think they're gonna induct Cornette.
Nah, but give Corny the rub.
he probably should. Honestly, he's a good manager. Like for what he did and Yokozuna and all that stuff. Like his U.S. spokesperson Jim Cornette.
Yeah, but when you're a shitty person, you're a shitty person.
But if you're a good wrestling personality,
that's not how this works, Benoit. I'm sorry.
So, on that note, Steve, any last thoughts before we let you go?
No. Hope the cruise went well and that you didn't catch food poisoning from the buffet. And
so far, so good. We got a couple of new shot glasses that'll be displayed somewhere up here on the shelf that I will not hit my head on.
Look forward to seeing them, and welcome back to dry land.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Steve, you, sir, are cut off. Until next time.
Steven!
Let's see if we got any more comments in here. I don't think we do. anyone else for the conversation? Well, on that note, this has been a fun one, a longer one than usual.
Been a rumpus. The rumpus began.
Seriously.
Or you got 45 minutes to SmackDown.
I know. Yeah. You got enough time to grab a drink, grab dinner. Hopefully we can get dinner before we got to order food. Oh, wait. New comments.
What?
Let's see. Oh, they're like Steve-O. Steve is a regular on this show. So we hope you all will become regulars as well.
Mm-hmm.
With that, so actually, before we start, so tonight, we got SmackDown going in another 45 minutes.
Yep. Big
energy of the night. We've talked about it ad nauseum. That's why we kind of enjoyed doing this show this way this time. The Rock and Roman Reigns are going to confront Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins tonight, or there's going to be some sort of... What's that?
It's the opposite. Seth and Cody are coming from Raw to go to SmackDown to confront the Bloodline.
All right, well, they're confronting. They're talking to you. They're face to face.
4 people are going to talk in the ring out loud.
So, yeah, I guess they're going to talk. Maybe action will go down. We'll see. It's exciting. I hope it opens. I really hope it opens, but it probably won't.
Well, it opened last week and it was 33 minutes, and he cut the women's match again, like poor ladies. That match got cut because The Rock wanted to talk for 30. I'm sorry, you pay for a wrestling match and you made me listen to Rock to talk for 30 minutes. Maybe that's your jamborees. I'd be mad.
Yeah.
And I digress.
You know I'm a Rock fan. I feel electrified every time he talks.
Anywho's.
So, on that note, we're going to let you go. But before you leave, be sure to like the video, subscribe. We want to see you here. We're here.
Comment.
Yes, those are the big three things. And I forgot to put the banner going. I didn't do the banner going the whole time.
You're fine.
I ruined it.
Next
but there it is now.
Never.
Better late than never.
Fire.
Regardless, we're here every Friday at 6. That's the new time.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be talking wrestling into SmackDown on Friday nights. So let's know. With that being said, we're going to wrap for the evening. Oh, wait, hold on. We got a couple of last-minute comments. Let's just see. Night. Okay, people are saying goodbye.
Bye.
So, on that note, with that being said, you don't have to go home.
Can't stay here.
We will see you next time.
Bye.